Hi guys, welcome to today's class. I hope that you're having an excellent week. Today we're gonna finish unit number 11. In order to do so, we're gonna start with a reading and vocabulary topic. The exercise number 1 says, work in groups and discuss the questions. Alright, so here we have these 3 questions. So you already know what to do. Call your classmates and when you finish, we'll continue. Alright, now moving on to the exercise number 2, we have read the story about a friend and outdoor enthusiast. So here we have this story and read it, and when you finish, we'll continue. Alright, now for the exercise 3, we have find words and expressions in the text that mean this. So here we have the text. And we have to find a word or an expression that means, for example, a dangerous situation which almost ended in injury. Which of the words from the text do you think means this? If you pay attention to the line number 6, we have a close shave. This expression, close shave, describes this, a dangerous situation which almost ended in injury. When you do an activity that is very dangerous, that you can have bad consequences because of this activity. So that is a close shave. Like that, please try to match these meanings with words or expressions from the text. And when you finish, we're gonna check them all together. Alright, let's see. In the letter B we have to be suspicious of something someone tells you. The answer is in the line number 9. It is to take it with a grain of salt. Imagine that a friend of you is telling you something, but it is a person who is always lying, or a person that is very exaggerated with his or her stories. Well, this is a very common phrase. In Spanish, we have a similar phrase. Do you know which is it? Alright, then the letter C says to make a story more interesting by adding details which may be untrue. In this case, this will be the expression embellish. Alright, this is related with this phrase. When you take a conversation with a grain of salt, it's because the person who is speaking, it's very common that that person embellishes things, so that they add details that may be untrue, so that the story is more interesting or more dramatic. Then in the letter D we have a painful, horrible, or traumatic experience. In the line number 10 we have ordeal. That's right, this is the meaning of ordeal. When you're talking about experience, but it is a bad experience, that it has to be with something bad that happened. Maybe it could be an accident, or it could be an event that was traumatic. And finally, a steep precipice or rock face. Well, this is a cliff. This is from the nature. Actually, this is a picture of a cliff. And well, that is the vocabulary that we're gonna see today. Alright, if there are no questions, let's continue with the next page, and we have another reading. The first exercise says, my friend Kenny loves to solo hike during the summer vacation. He recalls a hike that did not turn out so well. Read the two versions of his backpacking story. Which do you prefer and why? Alright, so here we have these two versions of the story, and you're gonna decide which is the one that you prefer. So take your time to read both, and when you finish, express why you prefer version 1 or version 2. Then we'll continue. Alright, now we have in the exercise 2. Have you ever been in a situation that did not turn out well? Tell your partner. Alright, so you already know what to do. Call your classmates and ask them this question. And also think about a situation that didn't turn out so well. It can be a situation like this, involved with nature, but it can be about something else. It can be about your school, in your family, when you were planning to do something and something turned out pretty bad. So do it, and when you finish, we'll move on. Alright, let's see. Now in the vocabulary section we have read version 2 of Kenny's story again on page 120. Was the wild dog really rabbit? Find 9 more examples of language that has been exaggerated. Use your dictionary if necessary. Alright, so if we pay attention to both versions of the story, we're gonna realize that the version number 2 had adjectives that were more exaggerated than the ones used in version 1. For example, here we have sparse, and in the version number 2 we have impenetrable. So this is more exaggerated than the other. Also, we have here in a remote area, and here we have in the middle of nowhere, right? So he's telling basically the opposite. So you have to look for the adjectives or the words that they're using in version 1 and see what's the difference with the words or adjectives used in the version number 2. For this, you can use a dictionary. For example, if you don't know what sparse is, you can look for it in a dictionary, and here you have small in numbers or amount, often spread over a large area. And impenetrable will be the opposite, impossible to see through or go through. So as you can see in this version, he's exaggerating the adjective. Like this, please find 9 more examples of languages that have been exaggerated. And when you finish, I'm gonna share some that I found. Alright, so here are the answers. Alright, so let's see. Another adjective that he exaggerated in the version number 2 is when he said that he got lost. In the version number 1, he said that he got a little lost, but in the version number 2, he said that he got hopelessly lost. Then, talking about the dog, he said that it was a wild dog, but here he said that it was a rabid wild dog. What is a rabid dog? Well, when these dogs have this disease is because they are rabid dogs. In this case, rabid wild dog. Very good. Then, when he talks about how he felt about the dog, here he says that it gave him a bit of scare. But in the version number 2, we have that it was scaring him half to death. Yes, more exaggerated as you can see. Then, he says that he had to cross a stream in some wet patches, so that it was not an awful scenario, but that it was not good either. But in the version number 2, he said that he had to cross raging rapids and a variable swamp. Raging rapids will be something like this, when there is water that is flowing very, very fast and it can be dangerous. And a swamp is like this, like the one in Shrek, that is very humid, that it is difficult to walk through and even dangerous. Then, he said that when he found his way out, it was almost dark. But here he said that it was pitch black, so that it was very, very dark when he finally found his way out. Then he said that he was tired, obviously that the experience was tiring, but here he says that his experience was exhausting. We know that the difference between tiring and exhausting is that exhausting is even more tiring. And finally, we can talk about his brother, that he was amused here. Remember that amused is something like fun, entertained, in a positive way. But here in the version 2, he said that his brother was hysterical. Okay, so completely exaggerated, right? Very good. Now, here we have other 2 versions of Kenny's second story. What you're gonna do is that you're gonna combine elements from each version to rewrite the story as dramatically as possible. So you're gonna rewrite the story. We could say that you're gonna make a 3rd version, but you're gonna combine these 2 elements, and if you want to add something else, you can do so. So do it, take your time, and when you finish, we'll continue. Alright, so I'm gonna play an audio, and you're gonna see if what they mention in the audio is similar to what you wrote in your version. Alright, pay attention, here it goes.
Track 2.41. Last year, I almost died when I contracted a nasty parasite. I made a huge newbie mistake of drinking water without treating it. Almost instantly, with miles and miles to go in my hike, I started to feel like I was going to die. My stomach was bubbling and boiling, and I vomited incessantly. I barely crawled into town, and they raced me to the hospital, where they pumped me full of meds. It took almost a year to recover.
Very good. Now, in this vocabulary topic, we're going to see some informal, exaggerated expressions. Some of them we saw them in the lecture, but some of them we didn't. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to see these expressions and we're going to match them with their meanings. Try to do it on your own. But if you need help, you can go to this website and look for these phrases so that you can have an idea of their meaning. All right? Do it, and when you finish, we're going to check the answers all together. Very good. Here are the answers. As you can see, the answers were kind of obvious. For example, when you say that I was at death's door, it means that you were very, very sick. Why is very sick? Because that you were near to death. It's not like just a flu or just a little fever. No, when you are very sick. Then also when you say it was at the end of my rope, I was desperate. Remember, when you're at the end of the rope, is that you didn't have any more patience. Very good. Also, we have, for example, I was dying for a drink. Well, when you are dying for a drink, it means that you are very thirsty. All right, so these are expressions that we can use to exaggerate what we're feeling. All right, now here we have, choose 3 of the expressions from column A and use them in sentences describing the last time you felt like this. All right, so you're gonna choose 3 of these and you're gonna write sentences describing the last time you felt like this. For example, you can say, I don't know, last week I was exercising and I was on my last legs, so that you were very, very tired. Or maybe you can say, yesterday I saw a movie and I burst into tears, so that you started crying, right? Okay, so 3 of these, and you're gonna write a sentence for each. Do it. All right, if you finish, let's move on. Now, the last exercise of today is that you're gonna write a story. Here it says, imagine that you recently came back from an exciting and eventful vacation, including a traumatic 6 hours boat trip. Prepare your story from the notes below. Make it as dramatical as possible and add some details of your own. All right, so this, guys, is gonna be the Unit 11 writing. I know that we were not going to have any writing on these classes, but like this is part of the book, well, I think that it's a good idea to put it as a writing. All right, so do this story. It can be only 1 page or 2 pages. Remember that it's a story, so you need to write enough so that it can make sense, and you can do it in pairs or on your own. You can use these ideas. These are some useful linkers. And well, you can also use any other idea that you may have. Remember to make it as dramatic as possible. You can exaggerate the things that happened by using some phrases that we saw. And well, when you finish this, that's gonna be it for today's class and for this week. Thank you guys for your attention. I hope that you have a great week and see you next class. Goodbye.